You are now listening to Bull Hook Golf, an unfiltered golf podcast taking you inside the ropes with unfiltered stories, insights, analysis, and exclusive interviews. Welcome back, everybody, to Bull Hook Golf, the podcast. This is episode number 71, and boy, do we have a special one today. Man, I feel like I say that often, but there's so many good golf tournaments, and there's only 4 times every year that we really get to mean it, and this time is it. We've got the 151st Open Championship at Royal Liverpool at Hoylake. Whew, that's a mouthful, but I'm going to...
Yes.
This episode is sponsored by Swannies Golf. If you are the one always sneaking swing oil past the marshal and serving up birdie juice for no actual reason, we might have a match made in golf heaven. Swannies Golf is a brand dedicated to suiting you up in the best feeling, best looking, and best made golf gear available. They believe pars are cause for celebration, and that looking like $1 million shouldn't cost $1 million. From polos to hats, layers to shorts, Swannies has the freshest looks that easily transition from regular life to the course, or course to life. Like a swing coach for your style, Swannies is an instant upgrade. How about that, Bobby? And
that was impressive. Did you memorize? Ryan? Did you memorize that?
Couldn't you tell I was reading off of a script? I finally had a piece of paper like you do.
Dan, you sounded so well. You sound professional all the time. I got to give Swannies a little plug too, because like I was telling you, I worked for Grayson Murray a few years ago, and Grayson was wearing their stuff, and my friend Kevin Canyon, who works for Grayson, who's his agent, hooked me up, and they took good care of me. And I will tell you this: their polos fit. So I'm one of those. I think their style kind of goes towards a little bit of the younger crowd, but the older crowd can kind of rock it too. They're, boy, I hope they don't get mad at me. Do you remember a clothing company called Sligo from Canada? Eric Axley and Brian Gay used to wear it. They were some wild colors, but their shirts fit really, really good and with some great moisture wicking material. And the Swannies, when I opened up these Swanee shirts and started wearing them in the heat, I was like, oh man, these guys get it. You know what I mean? A totally breathable. It didn't feel like there was any cotton on it whatsoever. So they had some good stuff, man. They had some killer outerwear, some killer jackets. One that I still rock. Gosh, I wish I knew the style, but it's got a hood. The top is white and the bottom's gray, and I get asked about it all the time. And their lids fit sick. Oh my God, their lids fit so good. This is new era. Go Padres, 6 games golf. Below 500. Sorry, Swannies.
Well, I'm gonna have to get Swannies to send out some gear here. I mean, we're gonna need to rock some gear, Bobby.
Yeah. I think they're from Minnesota. If I'm not mistaken, they're from the Minnesota, Minneapolis area, which we go to next week. So that'll be cool. I wonder if some of their guys are rolling around Minnesota. Swannies guys, if you're rolling around and you need tickets, hit me up.
There you go. Love it, Bobby.
Yeah.
Now, all right, let's get into the show. We've got the Open Championship preview tonight, and we're also going to do our quick little recaps as we normally do. Scottish Open, it's been a couple weeks since Bobby's been around. We had to get some video clips recorded last week, burn them into the episode or intertwine them in there. I mean, it was kind of cool. You were popping up.
9 takes that took.
Wow.
7 minutes and 37 seconds times 9.
And I had to chop it up. I did it. Just so that everybody knows, I did ask Bobby for 9 clips. Bobby sends me one long clip with everything in it. So I had to chop that thing up. It wasn't the prettiest, but I will say this. It was great just having you right here on my shoulder. It was like having
I couldn't screw anything up when it's taped.
Touche.
I was frazzled. I'm sorry about that. I was frazzled over there. No internet, bunk bed, another caddy on the top. I don't need to go into any details, but it's a peaceful life over there. Food's not great. You don't eat great. You have jet lag, but still
meat and potatoes, Bobby. Meat and potatoes.
It's pasta or pizza, really, or fish. I can do fish and chips one night, right? Because I think it's haddock, but it's about that big, right? It's massive, and I load it with vinegar. I know that sounds a little crazy, but vinegar's big over there. All right. Fire away.
Fire away. Here we go. Our first segment of the night, the Scottish Open recap. Let's dive right in. So, Bobby, how was it over there? I know it was not the result that you wanted, but how was being over in Scotland and having that Genesis Open? I mean, it's right across the water from the St. Andrews, right?
Yeah, it is, and Muirfield's close. Gullen's very close. It's a little mecca right there. There's 4 or 5 world class tracks that are there, and then there's a bunch of other ones that are there that you just drive by. I mean, North Berwick's pretty popular over there. I'm sure you saw on social media. JT and Jordan Thomas, all the caddies go out and play. I kind of laugh because the last time I want to say I was there in 2014 or something, or 2013 at Gullen for this event, and the North Berwick thing with players playing, there was maybe Bones and a couple other guys would go out and night and play. And now since social media's come around, it's really blown up. So I think it makes it for a nice relaxing tune-up, wee bit of a tune-up for this week. I mean, I sure wish I was over there at Liverpool at Hoylake this week. I was there last time I was there with 2014. And it's a super special place, but it's always fun going over there, right? No matter what's going on, it's different golf. The fans show up in droves. They love their golf over there. They're super educated, and it's just completely different. It's a completely different game. It's just not point and click and hit it high in the air. You got to be super creative. So that was my guy's debut playing a link style tournament, and
he drew
he did like it. I mean, he got pretty frustrated putting wise. He never adjusted to the green speeds that are toned down so much over there, especially because we had such windy conditions. He had a horrible tee time on Thursday, third from the last group. It was blowing 20 right off the bat. I mean, I'll talk about it a little bit in when we do our open talk. I used to say British Open, but I've been reading for years now. I can't say that. So when our open talk, that I always think morning tee times on Thursday have an advantage, right? Because it's not really blowing and that kind of stuff, and you can post a number, and then you can deal with the conditions that probably Thursday afternoon is going to have to deal with. Once again, quick turnaround on Friday. So I've always been a firm believer in that. But like I said, his short game was fantastic. He was struggling. He was really struggling putting with green speeds and that kind of stuff. But it was, you missed the cut by a few shots. You were hanging in there the whole time. It wasn't depressing or anything like that. Sure. I just don't think anybody really rolls, especially a Korean too, right? I mean, a young Korean. I don't think you just roll in there and do some damage until you've been in that arena, so to speak, 2 or 3 times, and you can take a lot of experience out of it. And I'm sure he will. And I'm sure he's going to play in many British Opens, but it's funny. I was thinking today, I was talking with his agent, Daniel, and I'm like, man, I've never walked a day in this guy's shoes. You just take it for granted. The guy's made well over $1 million this year. He's 24 years old, the Korn Ferry Tour Rookie of the Year, doesn't have a home, lives hotel to hotel. When he has a week off, he's at another player's house, usually hangs out with Ben down in Florida. He's been telling me, especially this week and last week, he's very homesick. His wife's very homesick. And we're coming down to 3 events here where we've lost some ground outside. Inside, we were barely inside the number. And now we fell all the way back to 80. It sounds like we lost a lot, but it seems to go in waves. All these points are so close to each other. So you're never far away, when you're on that number in the top 70 making the playoffs. But he's at his end. I can tell you that. We're going to see. I was telling you before we got on the air, we're going to see what he's really made of, how much heart and desire he really has, because these are a big 3 weeks for him to make the playoffs. He doesn't have any stress. He's not going to lose his card, right? It's almost like I don't want to say it's a free roll because there's going to be pressure there, but it's almost a free roll. And I was watching Rory do an open interview yesterday, and they talked about the mindset he was going to go into this week. And he goes, man, I really play my best when I just play free and easy and I don't think too much, and I just try and hit shots and have a good time out there. So I think that's probably going to be a good plan, a good plan for our team this week. So
I heard a great quote, and I can't remember which LPGA Tour player it was, but there was an LPGA Tour player on a podcast, and this is the best thing that I have heard in regards to the game of golf, of being a professional golfer. And it's so true that you have to practice like golf is the most important thing in the world to you. Yeah. Then when you go out and actually play in a golf tournament, you have to pretend that golf doesn't matter at all, because you have to be loose. You have to allow yourself to swing freely, and you have to play like you just don't care. And that is such a dynamic, and it's so true, because so many people have talked about on tour that, once you get comfortable as a rookie, all of a sudden you're playing the same courses year in, year out, and you get comfortable year 2, year 3, because you start to relax. You can kind of settle in, right? And that's where that in particular to me was just kind of enlightening. I'm like, holy cow, that's so true. You literally have to practice, like every shot that you hit in practice matters so much to you, and then you go out and you can't act like it matters at all, that you just don't care what the result is. You got to fall in love with just hitting a golf ball.
Yeah, I agree. And I definitely agree with you on the point that getting through the rookie year is just the main thing, right? Keeping your card, having a good solid number for next year. I mean, I'm realistic. Something really special. The deal is if you get to Memphis is the kind of golf course, the first playoff, where A, there's only 70 guys, and B, you see guys, names that pop up that you don't expect to pop up. I mean, obviously we lost a lot of guys to live, but just the way that Sepp Straka popped up last week and had it go, and it always gives you a glimmer of hope. And my guy swings it so good. He just swings it so good.
That was 2 weeks ago now, Bobby, Sepp Straka.
Yeah. No, I was talking about Sepp Straka at Memphis. Remember the playoff last year?
Yes,
that if you just get to Memphis, that somebody pops up.
I got you.
That's. Yeah, but thanks for reminding me.
Because he did win John Deere 2 weeks ago, Bobby.
Hello, I was there. But don't you remember that was that great episode? about 48 people watched as I was sitting. Where did I stay? I stayed at the Isle Casino. It's a Caesars property too.
Man,
they have the internet.
That was a rough one. I mean, it didn't look like you were in the greatest of spots either. I mean, that
I was in
rough.
very. Oh my God, it was a smoking room. Did I tell you that?
No.
I walked in the door and Lori, I walked in the door after 2 weeks coming home, and Lori goes, I go, does this smell? She goes, oh my God, what is that? I go, that's a cigarette. Everything, I had washed everything too over there. And I I couldn't get the smell off. So I had to double wash everything. I know that's and I'll tell you what I did over there, John Deere. I know. They had Yankee candles on sale at the Walgreens down the street. So I got 3 Yankee candles, burned them 24/7. And then I went to get the Glade plugins, but I got the wrong thing. I only got the liquid filler. So I jammed it up in the air filter and I dusted a bunch of bounce dryer sheets with it. And I had that shit rolling on my head all night long. But it still didn't take the smell out of my clothes. I put a Padres hat on. You know that Navy one? I put a Padres hat on overseas, and I'm like, I can't fucking ever wear this again. I left it on the bunk bed. That's right.
For the first time listeners, you are hearing a classic version of Full On Golf tonight. Oh, I absolutely love it. These are the best episodes to me. I get the most entertainment out of it, but
it's the little stories, right?
It is. I mean, those little details. Stories. I mean, those are life hacks right there.
I know. It's been a while. I told you my guy swings it so good. John Deere, we're 4 over right off the bat. I was telling Matt what the walk of shame is, folks. You know what the walk of shame is? Is when your guy pipes one down the middle and he has about 70 meters to the hole on a back pin. He decides to fly at 77 up against the barn. That'll get you stressed out right off the bat. I had to make 4 walk of shames in an hour and a half. We talked about it too. He goes, "What wrong?" I go, "You tell me." We just spent an hour on Tuesday on 70 and 71 meters. You were doing it perfectly. And I'm like, I wonder if this kid just gets so much of. But you can tell a good control back pin wedge player. He's got the flight and everything, but it's just not quite there. So keep your fingers crossed.
Bobby, even Tiger had distance control issues in his early days.
Yeah, but he's bad. Yeah, that's true. That's true. I'm such a perfectionist. What am I thinking? Probably for me that I think my guy's going to hit a green from 70.
Was there anybody that stood out to you at the Scottish Open that, for instance, leading into kind of the Open Championship this week?
No, well, not really. Not really. I mean, stood out to me surprise-wise was probably Bobby McIntyre. It was a little heartbreaking.
Bobby Mac.
It was kind of a little heartbreaking. He got beat by a shot because you were getting little memories of when Shane Lowry won the Open in Ireland, the hometown boy, and that kind of stuff. And they're quite passionate over there. But I mean, I didn't get to see a lot of it. I heard a lot of audio traveling back, and obviously I got to see a lot of highlights and that kind of stuff. But I think Rory even said himself, he goes, that 2-iron, that cut 2-iron into the wind out of the divot, 2-iron out of the divot to make birdie might be one of the greatest shots that he's ever hit. And, to birdie 17 and 18, and probably to, he probably breathed a big sigh of relief. He hasn't won, he hasn't there's been a lot of shit going on with Rory lately. So I think that this was a big thing for him leading up to the Open. You almost got to think after 2014 at Hoylake that he's going to be the guy to beat. So, nothing really stood out to me. He might be.
You think he could go back to back?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, 150 guys. 150 guys are in the field or whatever it is, but only one can go back to back. So, and it is Rory, and he's obviously playing great. And he finished the tournament off the way Rory knows how to finish a tournament off. Guys that I think that are getting ready for this week. I mean, Tommy Fleetwood had a good week at 9 under.
That's a good one.
He's been playing fantastic. He's going to have the most fan support over there for sure in that area. I keep thinking Terrell Hatton is trending too. He was also 9 under. Shane Lowry finished 12th. He was 7 under. Those, these are open. These are British Open names.
Guys that love links golf courses.
Yeah, guys that grew up playing in that stuff. So I think they're getting on form. I mean, Max finally had a good week.
That was good to see.
Yeah, but we just, still Max has got to play good in a major, right? Max has got to play really, really good in a major. Xander didn't play great. I think he finished 42nd.
Hey, don't down your boy Xander there because he tied my Ricky Fowler. They both struggled on Sunday when the wind got up big.
He gave it to you. Did you know? He bogeyed the last hole on Sunday. Right, Xander, I was going to beat you.
I mean, it was fantastic.
But that's the way
on his behalf.
Right. Yes, it was. So I know you're in cahoots with him.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
He's on speed dial, Bobby.
I mean, Ricky finished second in 2014. That was the year that he finished in the top 5 in all 4 majors.
Don't blow what we got for the Open Championship preview.
No. I was just kind of setting you up for guys that coming out of the Scottish. I mean, Ricky finished 42nd and shot 74, 75 on the last day in what looked like some serious, brutal
it was tough
conditions out there. Yeah, it was. Ben On played great. He's got the ball flight for it. Excuse me, Scotty, another. Where did Scotty finish? 5th, 6th, something like that. T3. Scotty finished T3 at 10 under. Another great one for Scotty. He's leading all the stats across the board. Hard to believe that he's only won one time this year. David Lingmer played great, right? He got his status back. He's been playing great all year. Remember, he was leading the U.S. Open the year before last. He was leading early at St. Andrews some years back, I want to say in 2015 or 2016. So he's kind of a sneaky one. I mean, the guy won Memorial. It was nice to see him have a good week. He's in the Open this week. I'm giving away my long shot pick already.
My goodness.
Yeah. But that's we needed. Well, we probably have to do 3 levels because he's the bottom level. He's a C group. So, it was a great Scottish Open. And I think now all seriousness turns to this week because it is one special place and it is one special tournament that everybody gets geared up for because there's nothing like an Open in the whole world. There's just no golf. There's no golf tournament that can replicate it. Thoughts, man? Thoughts?
Yeah,
Do you have thoughts?
Yeah, crappy weather. That's what I'm looking forward to. I got some real questions once we get into the Open Championship preview because you've been in quite a few. So I just want to get your take from a caddy perspective when we get there. But before we do, we have 2 little road bumps along the way. It wouldn't be like traveling over for an Open Championship without a couple little speed bumps or maybe some cobblestone roads. I don't know. But Barbasol. So Barbasol took place last week, and I have to give credit where credit is deserved. You said it for 2 straight freaking weeks. You picked Vincent Norman literally 3 weeks prior to the tournament taking place. You're like, Vincent Norman is going to win the Barbasol. And I'm just like, you got to be kidding me. Like, how do you know? And then you played with him at Rocket Mortgage, right? And you doubled down after that. And then sure enough, after the John Deere, you're like, yep, Vincent Norman, he's the guy. He's my pick. And sure enough, he freaking wins. He tried to choke it on the last.
He tried to. Well, you figured that was coming. I mean, he had never been in that position before. He hasn't gotten off to a good start. But every once in a while, I get a feeling when I watch a guy play, and you can just tell that there's something special about that person. And you go back and you look at their record for the year, and you're like, man, what I just saw right there. I wonder why he's not playing that good. He's got a European Tour caddy with him named Sean McDonough, who's worked for for Ben On and worked for a ton of great players, and he was a great professional himself, never to the full PGA Tour level. And I'm got pretty good friends with him, and he's hung in there with him all year, and he's been raving about him for a year. He played. So he's from Sweden, right? Yep. And he played 4 years, and it's not even a school as high as Georgia Southern. It's like Georgia Middle Atlantic or something like that. His freshman year, his scoring average, I think, was like 75 or 76. Funny how golf is. And he's an athlete guy that moves it and with hands, right? And he played 4 years there. Florida State got wind of him. He came and played 1 year at Florida State. Went through the Korn Ferry Tour, got his card. And he is, honestly, I'm going to say it right now, he's a star on the horizon. But I really had no rhyme or reason to pick him. I had been hearing about him from Sean, and, when we have that one listener that leaves comments too, who obviously knows what he's talking about, because he said on some comments that he likes my guy, SH. Yeah, SH Kim and Vince Norman. And he was spot on. And after I saw him play up close, I'm like, man, there's something special about this young man. Super personable too. Very, very personal, very happy,
You hate to see you get another win though. I mean, that's your first one in quite some time. So for you to get that, you're down to 10,000 pennies.
Do I have to pay you yet?
No, you do not.
Do I have to pay you yet? Well, listen, I don't have the time or the patience to go through the other 65 episodes that you and I have done together. But I think in one of those episodes, we made a deal that if you cold deck the winner, it pays double. Does that sound vaguely familiar to you?
Whoa.
You stole SH Kim and my shitty team from
Okay,
Lit.
hang on a second. Because then
who's our social media guy? Brad Friedman?
Yeah, we're going to have to send him back.
Audit on this.
We're going to have to send Brad in. He's going to have to take a look at the episodes. And I'm just going to say this, though, because not that long ago, I got 2 perfect picks with the last place team and the last place individual.
That's not picking. That's not what we were talking about.
Bobby, that is skill of gambling. I don't even want to hear otherwise.
Listen, either I've been eating a lot of really good gummies the last 2 months, or I swear there's something in my memory that says that we've made a deal that if you cold deck the winner of a tournament, not like the little live where there's 12 teams.
You know what, Bobby? I'll give it to you. I'm just going to say you got it.
I want an inquiry. I feel like we're the stewards at Churchill Downs Racetrack in the Derby, and they came down the stretch and there was bumping. So we need an inquiry, and somebody's got to look at the film, because I don't need charity. I'm going to call this the greatest comeback in caddy history. And you want to know why I picked Vince Norman? Because I'm an effing professional caddy. That's why.
Yeah. Well done. Well,
all right.
Since you got the big win there, how about we get to the Barracuda, where you might have a win this week? Let's talk about it. I mean,
fun tournament.
Well, the Barracuda is a fun tournament. It is Stableford. Do you want to go over Stableford real quick for some of the audience members that don't know?
Yeah, so we do it once a year. We do it in this tournament once a year. I'm not sure. I think they do it in Europe once a year too. So basically it's done by points, right? So minuses aren't good, pluses are good. So if you make a double eagle, you get 8 points. If you make an eagle, you get 5. If you make a birdie, you get 2. Nothing for a par. I think you lose 1 for a bogey, and if you don't even finish out a hole or whatever, you lose 3. So it's fun. It's disciplined fun, basically, is what it is. It's up here at 6,000 feet elevation in Truckee, California, which is a beautiful part of the world for anybody. It's basically 20 minutes to one of the God's greatest creations, Lake Tahoe, and all the skiing around here. And it's just, ball flies forever. Course is in great shape. It's super tight and tree lined. You're playing in the forest, and you're trying to figure out how far the ball flies. I will tell you this: he was super exhausted, but we pulled ourselves together and we went out for 3 hours yesterday. And he had the shakiest stroke on the putting green, and got him off the putting green as soon as I could, and told him that we had to bring the quad out, because you have to figure out at 6,000 feet and it's the afternoon and it's 80 some degrees, close to 90 degrees. I know how far it's flying, but with my communication issues with him, I needed him to see it himself. I know it's 10 to 12%. I know basically an 8 iron flies is exactly as far as a 7 iron does up here at certain times, not necessarily in the morning, super early in the morning, because it can get chilly here. But the ball doesn't spin in these conditions at this elevation. So we spent a couple hours, and I'll tell you, I used to do this with Sungjae, was you get the quad or you get a track man, and you let them get nice and warmed up, and then you hit every iron 8 times, right? And I'm documenting how far these irons are flying. I drop the low one, drop the high one, and you come to an average, and it's really quite They still have to execute, but it's really quite simple. There's a common denominator there. There's a certain club that's flying 76, 7, and we went over that in the practice round today because a lot of players want a number that is that's an all-in adjusted number. That's with uphill, downhill. And then you have to go back and do another, 10 to 12% on that. And a lot of players like a finished number, so we were talking about what was best for him. And we decided that we were just going to do it the regular way. And basically we had it memorized how far our clubs were flying. And he looked fantastic in the practice round. I think he's going to play great this week. I really do. I mean, can I just be honest? It's a JV event, right? Let's be honest. It's a full-on JV event. I mean, JJ Henry's in the field. I didn't think JJ Henry, I thought he retired from golf like a year or two ago. He's a past champion, and they're jonesing to fill spots here. We do have a couple of young guys. The unique thing is we got all those DP World Tour players that are over here for back-to-back weeks. So there's some familiar faces that you get to see, and there's some good players that are coming from Europe. We get to see the good young ones, which I have no idea really who they are, but there's older guys like, Jim Morrison, Alex Levy. I don't know if those are names that but they've been solid veteran players out there. There's a kid named Sebastian Soderberg, who's probably been on the DP World Tour for 5 or 6 years, that played at Coastal Carolina where Dustin played. He was probably the second best player there. So it's a great event. The ball goes far. Keith Mitchell's in the field. Did you hear the Keith Mitchell story? He thinks he's in the Open, right? There's no question that he's in the Open.
Oh, I didn't hear that story. No.
Listen to this. So they usually go through, world ranking goes into the mid to high 70s, right? So I think he was in the 60s or something like that. So he goes and plays this. He packs for 2 weeks, right? He packs for 2 weeks. And then he gets, I think he got something on Monday that said that he was actually 5th alternate. And he said he was just shocked and surprised. So the deal was they never hit the world rankings because they had so many more qualifiers this year, international qualifiers, and up the number of invitations they would give out of these
Cashmere
qualifiers.
Keith, we could have seen him in all cashmere out there.
Yeah, it's funny. He was out here. I'm like, I saw him on the putting green yesterday, and I'm like, wait, it's Monday and Keith Mitchell's here. Have I not woken up from a bad dream or something? And he was
Bobby.
I'm telling you, he was working really hard with the Scotty Cameron rep. And then I saw this interview that he did that he's like, man, I was shocked that I didn't get in. This was the first time it didn't touch the world rankings. Usually they take 10 or 12 players. So for a JV event, it's a pretty good field. I mean, you sent me a list of power rankings.
Well, this is why I sent it to you. So I'm going to go over the
Where'd you find that? That was pretty interesting.
This is from the PGA Tour. So from the PGAtour.com.
Can I add a little comment to each one? Yeah,
I mean, you sure can. So first off, starting at 10 and going down to 1. So number 10 on the power rankings for this week is Nathan Kimsey from England.
Okay, so all I can tell you is he lost the playoff to Vincent Norman last week. So that makes sense. Top 10. Okay, who's number 9?
Playing well heading in. Number 9, Akshay Bhatia.
Has made all his points in JV events.
Yeah.
Off events, right? So I believe in that one.
Okay. Ches Reavie.
Defending champion, right?
Yeah.
Defending champion. Yeah. Playing great, too. Yeah.
Then we've got in number 7, Vincent Norman, winner from last week.
The stud. Yep, the stud. Sometimes they run out of steam and sometimes they keep going. I saw him on the putting green today. It was great to see him. And I go, raise your hand if you had a bad headache on Monday morning. He didn't hesitate. He said something about Wendy's at 2 a.m. We've been there before.
Not a bad play. Yeah. Get those nuggets. Play. It's solid. Yeah.
So that's legit.
You just got to ask him spicy or non-spicy or traditional.
Yeah, right. He wouldn't remember, I don't think.
Justin Sue.
Yeah, been a little off form lately, but we know what kind of talent we're dealing with there. And he's actually, do I give credit to a California guy? So these greens it's hard to figure them out. They're half bent and half Poe, if you can imagine that. The Poe's been creeping in for a few years here. So we'll see. We'll see.
All right. Then we've got Patrick Rogers.
Yeah, I mean, cream of the crop in this field. Okay. Having a good solid year. Another athlete
5 spot.
Hasn't won yet. He's the one who played at Stanford. You remember, tied or beat Tiger's win record there. So he's been waiting to win for about 8 years now.
Yep. And one of my new favorite players ever since the Waste Management Open, to where you were caddying for Troy Merrick, and He was playing alongside of Jonathan Vegas and Steven Yeager. So Steven Yeager is in the 4th spot, which, by the way, the only reason that I like him is because it said Merritt, Vegas, Yeager.
I like that. Yeah. And he's been playing great, and he's chased distance, and he's got a lot more athletic, and he's put on some pounds, and he's playing great. Wouldn't surprise me one bit.
Well, I'm shocked because he was swinging out of his shoes at the Waste Management Open.
He does that. And do you notice that? And it's gotten quicker and faster now too, because he just figures I'm going to pile it down there as far as I can.
Yeah. And then
follow everybody else. And then
that's what the TPI guys talk about.
Yeah. I mean, that's the way it is.
Then we got Taylor Pendrith from Canada.
Yeah, not having a great year. Obviously was in the mix at Detroit last, that's 2 years in a row, maybe horses for courses. But, I don't know what his deal is after. I wonder if that's showing in the President's Cup because he didn't play great on a so-called national stage like that might have killed his confidence a little bit. I don't know. That's my own little
for
take.
Him to be in the number 3 slot, okay.
So the deal on him is rumor around the grapevine is he needs to get more of a kill. He's got all the tools and needs to get more of a FU killer instinct.
Gotcha. He's got to,
because I'm a caddy. I know.
Psychopath. I like that. Yeah. Some guys need that,
They do.
And then the guy in the 2nd spot does not need that. He needs the opposite. Grayson Murray, because he is a psychopath. So,
well, okay. Can I read you? So I'm going to read you. I'm glad you brought his name up because he looks as good as I've ever seen. I have history with him. I caddied before, as we shared, and he is a
Micah caddied for him for a little bit.
Micah has. We all got our stories about Grayson, but the fact is, it's a story that I know more that a few of us know is his generosity and his big heart. I'm gonna read you something. He looks so good, and he is playing so good. He made the cut on the number and tried to win that thing last week, but he made a double and a triple. Kip Henley.
I missed out on a couple $1,000 on a parlay for the top 10. And Grayson Murray was one of those, and he finished in the top, or it was top 20.
Yeah.
And he finished in the top 20.
6th. He ended up finishing 6th. I'm going to read this from Grayson Murray.
Go ahead.
Can I read something from Grayson Murray's social media post 2 days ago? Grayson Murray, this is after he just made that big run. 78 days ago, I had my last drink. I was 648th in the world rankings. Flash forward today, and I'm 156th in the world. I put in a lot of hard work in other areas of my life since then as well. If something is holding you back from something great, it's about making sacrifices. Oops, I got a long ways to go to achieve my ultimate goals, but I'm living proof that a little change can be the difference in something great in your life. All it takes is self-discipline and a great support team.
Wow, that is awesome.
Day by day.
Shout out to you, man. That is fantastic. So deserving of that number 2 slot.
Oh yeah, he's playing awesome.
Yeah.
He's like playing so good right now.
And then number 1, Mark Hubbard.
Yeah, so his name's been in Splatters leaderboards early in the year. He goes dark for a while. He comes back and Splatters. He made a quick caddy change 2 or 3 weeks ago. Players have a habit of playing good right after something like that happens. He makes a lot of birdies. He's a character. He's got a good personality. He's a hard guy to root against. I will say that. But I don't know. You don't know until you know. Does that make any sense?
It does,
don't
big
know.
time.
You don't know until you know. If he's the number 1 guy in the power rankings, no disrespect to him because he's a great player. I like my guy's chances this week. I'll finish it off with that. I like my guy's chances.
I love that. I was just about to ask you. I mean, because I kind of felt like SH got a little disrespected in that he wasn't even in the honorable mentions which Keith Mitchell was.
Yeah, wow, you would think Keith Mitchell would be a top. If me and you were picking, we got Keith Mitchell in the top 3. You're picking him for the dub, I would imagine. I'm thinking for you, but you might be picking him for the dub. Penny bet time?
It is penny pet time. Let's jump right into it. You go first. You got the win.
SH Kim. I'm going with my man.
Love that. Absolutely love that.
Going with my man.
I am going to go a little. I'm not going with Keith because, you feel a little jaded sometimes when you don't get into something. You were the 5th alternate. His mind might be on that situation. So I'm not going with him. I'm actually going to go.
Do you call that the give a shit factor? Do you call it like a give a shit factor if he gets off to a slow start? So
100%. Because if he gets off to a slow start, he's just like, oh, fuck this.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I am going to go with the guy that swings as hard as he possibly can. Steven
Bomb.
Jaeger. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
that's a
go
good
Jaeger Bomber Jaeger. Let's go, baby.
Burger Meister Burger. All right, so
there we go.
we got some action.
We got our action for the Barracuda.
We could do a B group, but they're all B group. They're all B players.
I mean, we'd be going pretty deep there. Hang on a second, because now it's time for our middle of the episode sponsorship read from Swanee's Golf. Yeah, this is new, folks. This is new, but you're not going to get any of those other sponsorships that get chimed in on YouTube. There's not going to be anything on the podcast side. So these are all because of Swanee's Golf. They're bringing the action to you this week, and they're going to be for the next couple of weeks, actually. So looking forward to this. And here's the thing. Swanee's is here with a fresh take. Performance-based materials are a given these days. But if you're looking for the stretchiest and most lightweight pieces that deliver a look that says, I'm here for a good time, take a walk on the Swanee side. That's right, folks. I said the Swanee side. With fabric sourced from recycled plastics and design sourced from your very own weekend warriors, Swanee's is looking out for both our planet and those that need a little style to boost their drive another 15 yards. Premium looks from top to bottom at swanees.co. Woo!
15 yards.
15 yards, Bobby. Guaranteed.
I'm wearing the wrong stuff.
Yeah, guaranteed. And folks, by the way, I'm also going to throw this out there right now. There is a promo code for Pole Hook Golf. It is going to be in the episode description. I believe it is Pole Hook 25. It might be Pole Hook Golf 25, but check the episode description for sure. But it is 25% off promo code.
Do you know how good of a deal? Because the good thing about Swanee's is they're not priced through the roof like everybody else getting it. Yeah. Wow, that is a good deal. Caddies love promo codes. Send that to me.
I'm sending it to you, Bobby. Now,
okay.
On to our final segment of the evening. This is the creme de creme, the moment you've all been waiting for. The Open Championship preview with Matt Cook and Bobby Brown. Bobby, the Open Championship is one of the most prestigious golf tournaments in the world. I mean, if you're over in the UK, you absolutely believe that it is the golf tournament. I mean, what did Gary Player say? He said that that is the best golf tournament. The Masters doesn't even come close, which Gary Player's got some things against the Masters, but that's besides the point because apparently he can't get a tee time over there. But anyways, my Scottish best friend, Sean Clark, would probably say the same thing. It's the Open Championship. We used to talk about it quite a bit. I think he's become a little bit more Americanized now to where the Masters is number one, but he doesn't tell his Scottish buddies that. So the Open Championship, it is prestigious. It is the one. I mean, it is very special because you get crappy weather conditions a lot of time, a lot of wind. These link style courses, they are absolutely brutal. And here's the thing, at Royal Liverpool, wanted to say Liverpool Royal, but Royal Liverpool at Hoylake, it is the host venue this year, and the last two winners. This was an interesting stat that I saw. So the last two winners are Rory McIlroy in 2014. Guess what he was? Number one in all categories. And he finished number one that year.
Number one in the world. So did Tiger.
And so in 2006, Tiger Woods did as well. So this is a golf course that really brings out the best in the best players. And that's where I want to kind of get started here because, you know, thinking about the field and the players that are in there, I mean, I don't think there's a person that would say that Scottie Scheffler isn't playing the best golf outside of his putting right now.
Right.
Would that be accurate?
Yeah, that's 100% accurate. Yeah.
So, I mean, if these things stack up, and you got to drive the ball well here. I mean, that's one of the big things that you got to make sure that you have control over your golf ball.
Yeah.
I'm very curious to see how he does and the putting. I mean, he played well last week. John Rahm hasn't been necessarily on top of his game. Rory McIlroy obviously made a big move last week with winning the Genesis Scottish Open. So he's in top form, and obviously he's won this tournament before, but take us through, Bobby. What do you think in terms of the field and some of the guys that are playing really well? You kind of alluded to it in our Genesis Open little preview there.
Yeah, it's an awesome. I mean, you could say it's the best. There's a ton of qualifiers, but you could say it's the best field of the year, and it's such a special place anytime that you go over there and you're on these golf courses that have been there for I could almost say hundreds of years, where the game of golf originally started. It's just super special. There's an unbelievable buzz and an unbelievable electricity. That little stat you fired off right there is so important, because both one of those stats that you were talking about, one of the four, was the tee to green stat, right? They dominated in the tee to green stat. I do like Scotty a little bit because I was there in 2014 and I got a pretty good golf memory. And I will tell you that these greens are pretty flat, right? There's not a lot. It's not a typical British Open style golf course. The greens are quite flat. The deal with the greens is that they have severe runoffs on the side. They're almost like they're cupcake shaped or turtle shaped. You have to kind of pick your spots and hit it in the middle of the green when you can. But it's a fantastic place. The deal with this place is what's so special is it's an old racetrack. It's an old horse racetrack, right? And it's famous for the internal out of bounds, right?
I knew you were gonna head there.
Well, because if you get yes. Well, because number 3 being the horse guy. So the deal is when you come out of the locker room, you don't walk across the first fairway, where you walk across the third fairway. Okay. So when you walk across the third fairway, you're right in front of the tee and you look down, and it is a racetrack. It's built on the racetrack. The third hole, that's why it curves left to right. That's the big turn. And they have the internal wall out there. And I know there's a big dispute on this internal out of bounds on 3 and 18, but can I be honest with you? A ton of golf courses in the Open have internal out of bounds. I mean, this has 2 holes. Birkdale's got holes. Carnoustie has holes. If you go and play just some course down the road, some little private club or a muni or something like that, it is not odd to see these brick wall, these 2, 3, 4, 500, 6-yard walls that are internal out of bounds, when you just look over and you're like, well, there's just heather and gorse. There's just, fescue over there. If you hit it over there, you can play it. But I think a lot of people don't like it. I think it's cool.
I love
one
it.
time out of the year. I think it just adds to, it's so exquisite and it's so different. Believe me, I watched plenty of shots on 2014 guys going for 18 and 2 that hole behind you. And I saw more than a handful pumping Oscar to the right, but it's one of those exciting shots that if you get it down the fairway, you're trying to blow, you're obviously trying to blow better, easier said than done. You're trying to blow it out to the left and make something really, really good happen. But I think that's why 18 at Liverpool is such a good hole, because you can play it early in the week and go, okay, I'm laying up every single day. I'm just going to, because I think they lengthened it too, right? There's 2 bunkers out there down the left that are,
it's over 7,300 yards.
It's over 7,300 yards. So it's
second
one of the
longest golf course in Open history.
So you can decide with your caddy that I'm going to lay up every single day, right? And I'm going to take the wall. I'm going to take internal out of play. Well, that's all great until Friday rolls around and you're trying to make the cut and you're 1 or 2 off the cut line, and there's no laying up. You're not hitting anything safe off the tee, and you're not laying up. You're pushing, and it makes it exciting. And also the same scenario goes for Sunday. If you're, let's say somebody's in the clubhouse at 7 under par or what have you, and you're standing on that tee and you're 5 under par, what are you going to do? I mean, no, you have no chance. You got to go. So that makes it pretty exciting. Like I said, I saw a few go out there. The key to this golf course is you got to stay out of these bunkers, right? You cannot advance the ball. I'm telling you, I saw it firsthand. These bunkers, just because it says it's 265 yards to a bunker, it's not 265. They have like a bathtub effect from so many years, right? It's designed that way that if it's 265, it actually starts moving into that bunker at probably 245 or 248 downhill.
And did you hear what the superintendent did? Which Scotty Scheffler said he lowered it and he leveled it. But Scotty says it's actually going into the face, that it's on a downward slope.
You can watch these guys try. Well, you watch. I wish it was firm and fast, because what I like about watching the Open, I hate not being there, but what I like watching about it is there could be carnage on any hole, right? And you see it come out of these bunkers more. You see it come out of these bunkers a lot. But that is one thing that I remember. You have got to stay out of these bunkers. And, the weather is not great there. It's not going to be firm and fast. And even though it's going to be, it rained all day today, I think they're going to have a better day tomorrow. And then they're maybe 50 or 60% until Saturday. And it's supposed to come down again pretty good on Saturday. But you got to realize that those fairways have been there for 130 years or whatever, and they're still firm. Even when they get a little bit soggy, they're still a little firm. So I'm sure scores will be a little bit lower. but the key is, you got to lead that stat tee to green, because stats say that if you win this week, stats say that it's an outside chance you're going to be the best player in the world at the end of the year too. Stats will say that the last 2 years. And I don't think, excuse me, I felt it coming. I held it as long as I can. I want to say that Tiger in 06, they hadn't been there in like 50 or 60 years, because they had to tune up the course and make it more open worthy, so to speak. But there's a ton of history there. You know what's I'm getting away from the golf course, but the last time I was there, I stayed in a house probably 6 or 7 blocks away. But the whole town, or the whole village, whatever you want to call it, is electric, right? The restaurants are booming, the outside cafes, the coffee shops are booming. I could be walking to the golf course at 5 a.m. I went to this one coffee shop. I popped my head in. The guy's like, "We're not open." I had my badge on, and he's like, "Are you caddy?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Come on in," And then all week, free coffee, free Danish, or whatever. And they just it's just special. It's so special over there, man. There's so many good holes there. That third hole that we're talking about with internal out of bounds, you really hit it 220 or 230 off the tee, and you have a longer to mid iron in. 8 through 12, you roll out to the sea out there. Like I said, these green complexes are the whole deal here. They have tons of runoffs. 13 is a par 3 that is out on the dunes, Matt. That is, nobody ever talks about it, but this 13th hole there, if you ever get a chance, look it up. It's one of the greatest par 3s that I've ever seen in my life. And then you roll right to another big dogleg right to left that has a huge dune on the left side that guys want to cover, and there's going to be some carnage there. And the unique thing this year is they added 17, right?
Yeah.
You know that they made a brand new hole.
That
How about
hole
this?
is sick.
136 yards, and I saw the diagrams of, and it is like, there's like, it's a turtle shell, right?
It's a turtle
what John Rahm
shell.
called it, a turtle shell. You got to hit it in the middle and get a makeable putt. And then there's one of the greatest, most exciting finish holes. I mean, St. Andrews, that the 18th at St. Andrews is St. Andrews, but this thing is up there, brother. It is up there.
It's gonna play a role.
It's gonna be awesome
in who wins.
Yeah,
for sure.
And it's the last major of the year too, right? It's the last major of the year. So
it's your last shot.
All these guys, it's your last shot. John, you mentioned John Rahm not playing good. He just took 3 weeks off. So what happens when you take 3 weeks off? He's obviously got a big stretch coming up with this tournament. The playoffs are right around the corner. He's got a Ryder Cup coming up. He's in the mix for the DP. All the bonuses for the DP. So I'm sure he's going to be playing over there more. So he's got a big stretch. He should be fresh. He's played.
Yeah, but is he going to be sharp?
Good. I mean, it's John Rahm, right? So you can't ever count him out. I mean, if I was ranking him 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, I mean, he would be in my top 5 for sure, just because who he is. So we'll have to wait and see on him, but it's just going to be fantastic.
Do you have any fun stories about encountering, or when you were caddying in an open, with the unique bunkers or the rough or the links? Really, anything that is a feature of an open championship. Any good stories there?
Well, I'll give you a Friday missing the cut with Brendan Steele, Royal Liverpool. Well, Thursday we got off to a horrible start. I think we doubled number 1, and we were 5 or 6 over right off the bat. And he got his feet under him and played the last 11 or 12 holes in 1 or 2 under. So the cut was probably going to be even or 1 over. And we started the day, I'm going to say, at 4 over, right? And we made a birdie or 2 and we could sniff the cut line. And then we made a bunch of bogeys, and we got to 18, and all of a sudden he was like 7 or 8 over par, right? So if they haven't lengthened 18, those 2 left bunkers are in play off the left. So he pulls a little drive, right? And somehow ends up between these bunkers, and it's sitting up good, right? And I'm like, and he's like, well, what do you think? Go or lay up? I mean, the smart thing to do is lay up. And I'm like, I said something like, I go, can I make the decision? He goes, yeah. I go, we're 7 over par. We're going. Let's see if we can hit a 3-wood, right? He goes, I'm worried about this bump in front of the other bunker and that kind of stuff. I go, it's sitting up. That bump's not even in play. Why would you even look at that? And he goes, okay, Bobby. And he hits it, and sure shit, it hits that bump, comes backward into the bunker. And these bunkers, when you just drip in, you plug, right? So you plug, and I can hear him MFing me, and he tosses the club, because I got the club sitting down, because I'm just thinking that the bunker's not in play. I got the bag sitting down, and he's like, oh, okay, now what? And he's like trying to get a stance against the wall, and he's got to come out sideways. And he ends up making like double or something like that. But we're walking to the scoring trailer and he goes, that was the biggest caddy mistake you've ever made in your life. I go, we're fucking 7 over par, Brendan. He goes, I just wanted to break 80. And at that point, I'm like, man, I don't know if I'm gonna work for this guy. I just wanted to break 80. Really? I just wanted to go
how long after that tournament were you still, or did you leave the bag, or did he fire you?
No, I was just like, it wasn't my fault. I think he half talked it, but he obviously knew what he was talking about because he saw something that I didn't see. I got a couple good DJ stories, DJ Open stories.
Yeah.
The last one the one where Scotty, I can't think of the name of the golf course. Gosh, I'll get it. But the one that Adam Scott was leading some years back that Ernie beat him on the last hole on the 18th hole.
Dustin, what you're talking about.
Yeah, Dustin was playing really good that week. We were playing with Graham McDowell, who was kind of our rival that year because he won that U.S. Open at Pebble where we played so horrible. But Dustin shows up wearing white pants, and his agency Hamburg Sports every year rents a big huge mansion, and all the players and the wives and the girlfriends stay there. They have a chef come in, that kind of stuff. So he gets out of the courtesy car. He goes, bro, I'm wearing white pants and my stomach is effed up today, man. It's going to be a day. And we're like in 9th place or something like that. And I'm like, yeah, don't worry about it. We're on the range. He's running back and forth they don't have the greatest porta potties over there, and he doesn't like porta potties, and he's like, Bo, I can't go in the porta potty. There's nowhere to go. And I go, you got it. He's like, I'm wearing white pants, the blue dye down there, and the shit. So it's going to pop up. I go, you got to build a nest. He goes, what? I go, you got to build a nest, man. You take a whole roll of toilet paper, you wad it up into a big nest like you're a bird, and you throw it down there and you get to business, right? And it takes away. He's like, oh yeah, good thinking, Bob. So he comes back to the range. He's like, man, that was good. So we get out there and he gets off to a great start. And we got to about the 4th hole and we're in the middle of the fairway and he's answering around. I go, it's our play. He goes, Bob, I'm going to shit my pants right now. I go, what are you talking about? He goes, Bob, I'm going to shit my pants right now. And he goes, I can't even hit the shot, get an official, right? So GMAC comes over. He's like, what's going on? He's like, GMAC, I'm going to shoot my pants right now. So an official comes over, gives him a ride to the cart. We stack up the golf course while he's in the porta potty, right? He's wearing the white pants. I'm not kidding you. He comes back. He goes, okay, Bob, I feel a lot better. He turns around and he's got the blue dye on the back of his pants. Yeah, I didn't have the heart to tell him. Till after the round, he was so pissed off at me. He was so pissed off at me, but that's a good one. And I'm going to finish this.
How could he be mad at you, though? Because you taught him the secret. He probably didn't do it. He didn't have time.
Well, I guess
probably
Mother Nature, it was coming out. He had a good day. I think we ended up finishing 6th or 7th, but he was so bitter with me. And then I'll finish off with my best British Open memory story ever was when Mickelson won at Muirfield in 2013, and there was I was staying with a bunch of very important caddies: LaCava, Bones, John Wood, Lance Bennett, Joe Scovern, and we had this great house and we had a great week. Dustin was playing great all week. He was in the second to last group on Sunday. Mickelson was about 5 or 6 back. So me and Bones had the later tee times. We had 2 rental cars. The early guys would go on one rental car and then the later guys that were in contention. So me and Bones were driving. I think I've told this story before. We're going down this highway with the fescue on the left and the right. And, I was raised in a big gambling family. So black cats were like not allowed. Like if a black cat crossed our path or any family member's path, we would reroute and go the other way around because we liked that on the horses and we just couldn't deal with that. That was the reason why one of our gambles would lose or something. So traffic's pretty good, but we get out of it's pretty bad. And so we're stuck in this traffic. And all of a sudden I'm like looking out the passenger seat and I'm like, I see this animal moving through the fescue, right? And it pops its head out. And it's a black cat and it's tiptoeing in front of our car. And Bones goes, I go, that's a black cat, Bones. He goes, I think it's got a white eye. Just like that, Bones. He goes, I think it's got a white eye. I go, that is a black cat, Bones. He goes, what do we do? I go, we got to go back. He goes, what? I go, we got to go back and start all over again. He goes, I like it. He whips a U-turn. We go back to the house. We park in the driveway. He goes, do we get out of the car? This is Bones, right? He goes, do we get out of the car? I go, not only do we get out of the car, we walk back in the house, shut the door, and then come back out and start our day all over, right? So we do that. We get to the golf course. We're in the locker room. Dustin and Phil are buddies at this time, and they're sitting in the locker room. Inexperienced dummy me goes, they're like, what are you guys up to? And I'm like, listen to this story, right? So I tell him the black cap story. So it works out good for Mickelson, right? He ends up winning. Okay. And then Dustin, when we finish, he falls, but he has a terrible day, finishes like 25th or 27th. I get in trouble again, come back to the locker room. He goes, Bob, don't you ever fucking come in this locker room and talk about black cats ever again. See what happened? He goes, it was your fault. And I go, it didn't hurt Phil. Yeah, it didn't hurt. It didn't hurt Phil. So those are a few very short stories. If you were in the car with the black cat one, you would have loved it.
Oh my God. I would have died. That would have been so funny. I would have loved to see you and
the blue dye
going all the way back. The blue dye might take the cake.
Yeah, that's a beauty. That's a beauty. Because GMAC came up to me on 10. He goes, do you know? And I'm like, do I know? Don't you fucking say a word. And GMAC's kind of a prankster, and so is Kenny too, you know. And GMAC wanted to say something, but he hung in there. He hung in there tough for me.
I'm going to have to go back. What? I'm trying to remember what Ope. I'll look up the one that Ernie Els won and go into there and see in the archives if Getty Images has any photos of DJ.
You should.
I'll never hate me forever, but it's okay.
I'm going to get arrested for this one. But that same year, I was staying with our guy Lance Bennett and Scott Stallings' caddy, John Yarborough, who spent years with Gary Woodland. And I smuggled over. This is before cannabis was legal. I'm going to tell you a story. I smuggled over a giant cannabis home cooked chocolate chip cookie for the road. And this was a buddy of mine that trained racehorses who would make them. And he said, you only take a couple bites, right? So we were sitting around on Sunday night when we got into town. We were drinking some wine, having a good time. I go, hey, I got this cookie, right? And so we ate the cookie between the three of us. If you could have seen, we ate it at 9 p.m. At 1 a.m., I don't know where I am, but I pop up off the couch, drool coming out of my mouth, and I look over, and Yarborough's passed out on this couch, and Lance is passed out on that couch. And I'll never forget, we wake up the next morning, Yarborough comes around the corner, and he goes, I retired from cannabis cookies, Bobby Brown. That's all my stories.
Oh, that's legendary.
Yeah, that's all my stories.
I mean, that's so good that you totally distracted me away from who I'm going to pick this week. And I have no idea at this point. So let's go over just some guys that are playing pretty well heading in. Just so that we can start to figure out who the hell we're going to pick. I mean, obviously, Scotty Scheffler's playing really well. Rory McIlroy's playing well. We got John Rahm back in the picture. Ricky Fowler, he finished second there in 2014 when Rory won. He finished 2 shots back. And Xander's playing well. I mean, you got a lot of guys heading into this that really could end up taking it. But, Bobby, who you got? Penny bet.
Scotty Scheffler.
Damn you.
The flag greens. It's the flag greens.
Yeah.
It's the flag greens.
That's gonna
and
be
that tee to greens
beat.
and that tee to green stat right there. So I gotcha. Who do you got? Well, let's do this. I'll make it enticing for you. We'll do an A, B, and C. Okay. Let's do an A, B, and C, and we're pretty good on agreeing on B's and C's. Okay. So
A.
Who's your A?
I'm going to go with Rory McIlroy as my A.
Good bet. This is going to be a good one. Let's do.
I get to go first on the B, right?
Yeah, you go. You go first on the B's.
On the B, I'm going to go Ricky Fowler.
I'm going to go Tommy Fleetwood.
Nice.
He's a B.
That's really
okay.
Solid,
so now I go on the C's. So these should be people that nobody's heard about.
Oh boy.
Or kind of, sort of, nobody's heard about. I'm going to go with David Lingmerth on my C. Yeah. Cha-cha!
Wow. Hang on a second. I'm going to have
to get that field list up, son.
I'm pulling it up right now. You better believe. I think it's the open.org. Here we go.
Pull that field
pulling
list
up the leaderboard. Oh,
yeah,
man. Yeah, you went deep on that one, and that's actually a really good pick. You weren't kidding around. You were pissed off that you keep losing, so I get it.
Well, you stole my live, guys.
Oh, man.
I could deal with the C1 Kim thing, but when you took my team, now it's more.
You know what? I screwed up, actually. I really like Cam Smith, actually, this week with how well he's been putting. But obviously he's not a C player.
He's an A++ player, man. That was that first bet.
Can I switch Rory McIlroy and him?
Yeah. See, that's the difference between me and you. I'm cool. You steal teams. It's a big difference.
I'm a
You
savage.
missed me the last 2 weeks.
I have. I've missed you a lot. This shit's
Mook
been
and
funny
Black Panther
tonight.
cycling camp
Oh man,
are
I'm
so
gonna tell
happy
you what.
tomorrow morning.
Well, if
the
I
Vincent
am
Norman
Swanee's
fan's gonna be
Golf,
so happy.
if I'm Swanee's Golf and I've just sponsored this episode, I am absolutely just thrilled at the content that's come out of this one. Let's see
or
here.
they're at the corporate offices tomorrow going, what have we gotten ourselves into?
We
with
had
these two?
no idea. This is terrible. So
C group, waiting on that C group.
Still looking here.
There's some diamonds in the rough there. There's some diamonds in the rough.
Oh, I know who I'm going to go with. Tom Hoagie.
That's a good C pick right there. Ball striker, iron player. I like that pick. That pick. If Lingy wasn't on form and I didn't see him turn and play first 10 in shit conditions at St. Andrews when it was playing long and 7 under, I wouldn't even be jumping on there. But I got a feeling about this Ling Mert this week.
I'm sticking with my original pick. It's not fair. It's not right. I'm sticking with Rory McIlroy.
Okay. Yeah, you can't. You don't want to do that. That's bad juju. That's like the black cat because you know what's gonna happen. You know what would happen. Yeah, Scotty would win it by a shot over Rory, and you'd be like, "Oh, I was so close."
But everybody did hear that I do like Cam Smith this week, and Rory McIlroy.
What?
I don't.
Wow, you're picking. You like Cam Smith this week? You and 13.8 billion other people like Cam Smith this week.
Well, the one caveat with Cam Smith is that he's going to be a little bit wild off the tee.
Yeah.
And that doesn't bode
but it's a mixed bag too, right? You lay it behind a lot of bunkers, right? You hit long irons off the tee, you hit 3 woods, and you hit drivers, and you pick and choose your spot. But and like Scotty Scheffler said in his interview, anytime I heard his interview today, he goes, anytime a ball of mine in these practice runs is going to a bunker, I get extremely anxious. So these guys that are going to be biting off corners and stuff like that might have to think twice about it. But Cam Smith's playing great, and he's defending champ, and he wants that jug back.
He's putting absolutely ridiculously. I mean, there's nobody on the planet right now that's putting as well as him.
Yeah.
Not even Denny McCarthy.
Rapid fire. Phil Mickelson makes a cut or misses a cut?
Misses.
Ping driver in the back. I agree with you. I was trying to bait you in. On that. Colin Morikawa, top 20? Yes or no?
Yes.
Wow, that's another one. Okay, that's it. Those are my only 2 rapid fire. Oh, I got it. I got another one too. Dustin Johnson, top 20? Yes or no?
I don't remember how he played here previously.
I don't think he played good there. But that was 14. That was the transition year of Dustin Johnson becoming really, 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 really good. Yeah. But he does have a 127 tee time, and you know my angle. I don't like those way afternoon tee times. You know?
I don't think he does. I don't think he's been playing the greatest.
Sungjae Im outside the top 30 on the FedEx Cup list for the first time ever in his life. He's a mathematical lock. He just missed the cut at the Scottish Open. Sungjae Im, made or missed cut?
Made.
Yep, I like that. Man, if he misses this cut, all hell's going to be breaking loose in the kimchi factory in Atlanta at his house. Daddy, you're not going to be happy. I will tell you that much. His factory. Daddy is not going to be happy. Somebody's going to get beat. No boom boom.
So hang on a second. We have Scotty and Rory. Who is the B team?
Tommy Fleetwood.
Oh yeah, Ricky Fowler.
Ricky Fowler. Yeah, he's an A- for the record. I guess Fleetwood's an A- too.
Fleetwood, jeez.
Yeah, that's true. And then we got Lingmerth versus. Give me a quadruple extra large hoagie with extra mustard.
I mean, it sounds delicious. Did I tell you that I did a 1-day fast yesterday, and then I went to go work out this morning and almost died, and didn't tell Ando that I had fasted, which I didn't realize that it was 36 hours because I've been doing this no eating after 6 o'clock, and literally did a 1-day fast Monday. And went in, and apparently your electrolytes are just completely gone. And I almost died halfway in. Like he looks at me, and I look at him, and I'm just like, I'm not well.
Yeah.
And I literally felt my life flash before my eyes. And by the way, I've done toad venom. So, I mean, I've literally been to death and back. So it was very similar.
You know what I've been doing every other day is I'll eat dinner at 3:30 with my time clock so screwed up. I've been eating dinner at like 3:30 or 4 o'clock. And then I do like these meal replacement shakes from Garden Life with protein, a vegan based thing, and like a nature bar. And I did one tonight. And can I tell you this? I am starving right now. And I'm at another casino in downtown Reno. There's not very many good ones. It's another Caesars property called the El Dorado. Scale of 1 to 10, 10 being best. You know what my room is? A 6er. But it doesn't have any smoking. It's a 6er. Yeah, it's a 6er.
I mean, I can see the ceiling and it looks like there's some smoke stains.
I painted the walls and everything before we went on the.
It's a nice taupe.
The ladies, like the tour ladies, like $55 a night. I'm like, awesome. I get to the front desk, they're like $828. I'm like, $55 a night? What? I'm good with numbers. And she's like, $40 resort fee. And this and that. And I'm like,
got you with the resort fee. Yeah.
Yep. It's a meal replacement shake every night tonight now. Every night this week.
Yeah. Thanks, ladies. Appreciate you.
All right,
Bobby.
Reno.
Well, I mean,
okay, buddy.
Good old Reno. I hope you have a great week. We covered our Open Championship preview. Thanks again to Swanee's Golf for sponsoring this episode and bringing it to you to where you don't have to listen to all those other advertisements that go on from YouTube and from the podcast platforms. So this week is brought to you by Swanee's Golf. We can thank them for this awesome episode. And Bobby, once again, hope you have a great week, buddy. And enjoy.
See ya.
Thank you for tuning in to Season 2 of the Pull Hook Golf Podcast. Make sure to hit subscribe and go to www.pullhookgolf.com for more.